Okay, welcome forward. U.S. Virgin Islands International Chess and ISV, U.S. Virgin Islands Chess Federation, all admins, students, learners, players, coaches, and everyone else abroad, elsewhere. Welcome to the newly revised edition 2023 Feeding Ratings Tournament number 1 and 2, guys. Brought to you by our host Colin Heim with U.S. Virgin Islands Chess operator, online, and instructor. Guys, I have a really exciting game, a somewhat complicated game to look at today, guys. This is for my advanced players at ISV. Okay, so this game was played on March the 3rd, Friday, year 2023, in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ. Guys, so in this game, I had the black pieces against Michael Smith, our team captain and four-time Olympiad player for Team ISV Open Men's National Team. Competed in Chennai, India with David, Connor, Justin, and David, Nyan, Connor, Justin, and David. Guys, there's a playlist also here on my channel if you guys want to check it out. If you check out the playlists that are available on this channel, you guys will find Chennai, India, and those are all the draws and wins collectively amongst the team. But for now, guys, let's focus on this game. This is the newly updated playlist. This just happened the other day if you guys are tuning in and watching. So in this game, guys, Michael had the white pieces and he started the game with d4. Okay, and guys, your host, your operator, black pieces. And this was a FIDE rated over the board classical game. 1 hour plus 1 minute, 1 hour and 1 minute for each player. And G6. So guys, in the going back to the Chennai India playlist for just a moment, guys, there are games there where we find the Robosh system: D4, G7, G6, C4, G7, G6, and E4, G7, G6. Guys, this is something that Connor has influenced me to play, and just studying his games and seeing what kind of potentials that can open up for black in this hyper modern defense. Okay, after knight to f3 and bishop g7, okay, which is the most played line. Okay, 3 g3 d5. Okay, so these are all book moves. Some of them kind of aren't really book moves, but they still are book moves, like c6 and short castles and knight f6, c4 and short castles, where short castles is a book move, guys. So in this position, we can say that Michael and I are playing just by the book. Okay, in this hyper modern defense. Okay. All right, guys, so move 7, knight to c3, and now it's time to capture the c-pawn. Okay, so black has the opportunity to capture, and this is also a book line. Okay, e4, now striking in the center by Michael, and bishop to g4, now pinning the knight to the queen. Okay, so Michael and I had a talk after the game, and we talked about bishop to g4. He said bishop to g4 here is somewhat of an annoying move to face. It's not something that maybe I was looking at with favor. Guys, instead of bishop to g4, I was really just considering knight from b to d7. I was also considering knight to a6 as well. Just to sort of maybe knight to a6 is like a reference, maybe to just kind of throw Michael off a little bit and try something different. But we didn't go for that line. Instead, guys, we saw just bishop to g4 like we talked about. And as a response, guys, in this position, without looking at the notation below, please try to find the move that maybe Michael played in this position if you guys can. Give you guys a couple of seconds, pause the video. Well, what did you guys come up with? Did you guys find the move bishop to e3? Well, that's correct. And it's move 10 at this point after bishop to b3, guys, and at this moment in the game on move 10, I had about an extra maybe 10 minutes or so, and I decided to play b5. Well, guys, find a better move for black in this position than b5. b5 solidifies the pawn that was gambited on the c4 square, but let's try to find a better move for black after I give everyone a couple of seconds. What should your instructor, your guys, your host, your operator, what was better here for black? Well, again, knight from b to d7 is better, and the game can continue. If white does decide now to strike in the center, which isn't really recommended at all. Right now I can hop to d5. If knight takes, pawn takes. Okay. And yeah, queen to d2, and the game can continue. I would probably play f6 in this position. Okay, and if takes, rook takes. Okay, which is very similar to the line that we get into in the real game. Okay, so b5, guys, anyway. And as we mentioned, b5 was not best. We just said knight from b to d7 on the previous move. Okay, good job, guys. Thanks for following along. We're about 5 minutes in on the dot here. Let's continue. Okay, so h2 h3 now by Michael, saying, well, you need to do something about this bishop. Well, the engine says that capturing at first was best, but then the engine had a time to think, guys, and the best move in the position is actually just bishop to c8. Guys, why is bishop to c8 the best move in the position? Or why is it a candidate move? Maybe if not best, why is it equal? Well, guys, we need to go all the way back home if we're not going to capture. Okay. The reason why I did not capture in this position, because I figured if captures, well, then bishop captures. And if I end up playing, now knight from b to d7 doesn't really work. And I just have to strike with e5. Okay. And if e5 takes, right? Rook takes. Now knight's going back to b7. And you have to protect the pawn, right? But if I just play here, I'm winning the pawn back, and black is doing very well here. Okay, the light squared bishop isn't really that great here for white, right? It's already under attack. So we go back to e2, and then now it's time to play knight from b to d7, guys. And black is just cherry. Black is just doing very, very well there. Okay. Okay, so fine. We saw bishop to c8, and immediately, guys, in this position, Michael did not have a long think. He played knight to e5. Well, guys, knight to e5 is a very nice move in this position, and if you guys had black pieces, as I do on a day in my formal FIDE rated chess tournament games, guys, in the Virgin Islands in St. Croix, guys, can we just pause the video and maybe find the best move for black? There's really only one decent move here, guys, right? If you guys had the black pieces in this position, you were playing in a tournament chess game, what would you guys play? Bishop to b7, right? Just putting more coverage now to the emphasis on maybe the attack on the c6 square, okay? But we also have defense here from the knight on b8 as well, so we're not in bad shape. Queen to c2, knight from b to d7. Now, finally, at move 12, probably should have been played a long time ago. Now black looks a little backed up, and white is starting to prove that his course of development is superior. He also has the two center pawns. Michael and I had talked about this and analyzed this after the game, and we talked about the seriousness of gambiting the c4 pawn for initiative in the center, as well as better development. Okay, so white is better developed here. Okay, rook from f to d1 played by Michael, guys, and knight to e8. Guys, what is the purpose of knight to e8 in this position? Can you guys pause the video and maybe go forward with knight to e8 here and try to find why knight to e8 is an important move? Why did I play knight to e8 in this position? Well, it's simple, guys. It's just to simply avoid the pin from the bishop getting to g5, and it's also here the bishop going to g5, and it's also having to do with prophylaxis in defending the 7th rank squares. Okay, so knight to e8 is very important, and let's also see why. So Michael, as a response, played knight back to f3. Well, I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't move his knight back to f3. I was hoping he would play a move like b3, and if captures, I'll take here first. He takes with the queen. I obviously can't take with the knight now because there's a pin on my queen, so that doesn't work. That was the whole point of that line, okay, suggestively, okay? So as a response to knight to e8, guys, like we went over just previously, whoops, sorry about that, guys. Knight to f3 was played by Michael, and now e6. Well, after the game, during our analysis, we also looked at e6, and e6 was an inaccuracy, guys, because it weakens all the dark squares. Okay, white has more control over the dark squares. Now the c5 square is going to be a key square for white after e4, e5 gets played. Okay, so e6 was no good. Instead, it was better just to play knight to c7, or even knight back to f6 or knight to c7, and then maybe we would repeat moves here. I'm not exactly sure. I'm obviously never taking here, okay, guys, because of the pin, and the knight is hanging on f6, so we're never taking the knight there. We're just reversing the course. So again, if knight moves up there, I'm going back to e8 and so on and so forth. So the position may draw, but we didn't play that in this game, guys. Instead, we saw e6 and Michael played the move e5, 15. Well, guys, I want you to find the move now for black in this exercise. I know we're really going quickly and moving at a rapid pace here with 10 minutes in. U.S. Virgin Islands International Chess, guys, and let's try to find again the best move for black. So feel free to pause the video now, find the best move for black, or find a move in the position that black should play. e5 striking in the center, and Michael is claiming the center at this point. Well, what did you guys find? Did you guys find the move queen to e7? Well, queen to e7 must be played. Queen to e7 simply must be played because of that rook on the d file and breaking the pin to the semi-open file. It will be a semi-open file someday, okay? So we have to break that pin. So queen to e7 is important, okay? Knight to e4. Knight to e4 is a star move. Well, it turns out the engine says that knight to e4 is a decent move, maybe not a star move. Take it back. f6 now played by myself. Guys, it's time to strike. And better than f6 in this position, guys, was just f5. And this is something that I looked over after the game on my own time when I analyzed. And guys, in this position, if white decides to take en passant, well, we are capturing with the e knight, okay? And in this position now, if white decides to capture for some reason, right, which may or may not be best, well, guys, then bishop captures. Okay, bishop captures and black is doing fine. Now black's pieces are starting to get even better coordinated than white's pieces at this point, okay? Despite white having a decent rook on the d file, maybe ready to push d5 someday, okay? Okay, so instead of f5, guys, your instructor played f6, which wasn't as good, so f5 was better. I should have considered f5 and been a little more provocative in my measure of the calculation of things. But instead, e captures on f6, and now, guys, knight captures on f6. Well, guys, this is the wrong knight to capture with, and Michael mentioned that to me after the game. Guys, the best knight to capture with, undoubtedly, is just the e knight. Why? Because in the future, the knight is getting to the c5 square, like we just mentioned a moment ago. So, guys, in this instructional, it's most important to notice that this was a mistake made by black, okay, by myself, conducting team black. So guys, in the game we just saw knight from d captures on f6, and instantly Michael played knight to c5, and this was my oversight. I did not think that he would be able to put a knight on this outpost and have a monster knight basically on the c5 square. So this is something that we needed to avoid. Again, guys, in this line, capturing with the e knight, and that doesn't allow, that doesn't permit for this, because now if this happens, we go here, and now black is doing quite well. Now I get a monster knight, and that's exactly what happened in the next line. So let's go to that line now. Okay, so let's go to what was played in the game. Knight d captures on f6, which is the mistake. Knight to c5, and guys, knight to d5, as shown in the previous line there. So tit for tat, essentially. White has a monster knight. Black has a better knight now, and Michael and I both said to each other that knight to d5 was a good move, okay? Okay, so bishop to g5 and bishop to f6. Bishop takes f6 and rook takes f6. Well, guys, not knight takes on f6. Okay, knight takes on f6 is a mistake, okay, for a number of reasons. Now white can continue development by swinging the rook over, and now there's a real big problem with the e6 pawn here, okay? How to defend. The knight is attacking, the rook is attacking, so even if we swing the rook now to somewhere like e8, we'll still rook captures, right? And this is going to be resignable at this point, okay? So the e6 pawn has to be dealt with. That's why rook captures on f6. It's all about the e6 pawn now, and Michael sniffed it out instantly, and he played the move rook from rook to e1. I played knight to g7, which was very fortunate for me, because now it adds more coverage to e6, as e6 is now the clear problem in black's camp and a major weakness. So knight to g5, h6 now played by myself, provoking h6 maybe in some lines, and now the knight is going back to g4, and this is now a critical moment in the position, guys, and you're poster operator had a blunder in this position, and I played the move rook to f7. Now, guys, without looking at the notation below, if you guys are advanced, I know this is a very complicated game, and Michael and I mentioned how complicated this game was. Despite playing all regular book moves, maybe in the first 8, 9 to 10 moves, guys, find the tactic here for white after I give you a couple of seconds. Pause the video, find the tactic for white here. Okay, pause the video. You have the white pieces now. Let's flip the board. Find the tactic again for the third time in this position, and we'll continue with the game after you guys press play again, and we will preview the solution. Okay. Okay. Well, rook to f7 is a major mistake. Now white is going up the exchange. Now after knight captures on b7 square, queen captures on b7 square, guys, and instantly it going down the exchange with knight to d6. Now we notice that the rook is under attack as well as the queen. Well, guys, in this position, I just played the move rook to queen to e7, knight captures f7, queen captures f7, and this is exactly the line we saw in the game. And this is move 26. Queen f7, and this should be very much convertible for white, but let's keep going and continue with what happened in the game. Rook to e5, which is swell, that was best. Now getting ready to double up someday on the e file. Okay, sorry about that again, guys. Okay, so knight to e5, and knight to e5 should be backed up by another rook. Okay, so in this position, I played the move knight to f5, queen to d2, and g5. Okay, now adding more coverage to the attack on the d2 and h6 diagonal. Okay, rook from a to e1, rook to e8, and rook 1 to e2. Okay, so now Michael is getting ready to triple up on the e file, and I played the move queen to d7. I have to do something in this position. Bishop to e4, knight from d to e7, which I thought was excellent in this position, because now it adds more coverage and it's going to make some threats in the future. Bishop to c2. Well, in some cases, guys, maybe it was just best to capture the knight, and then after knight captures, well, there's still the threat that I wanted, which was just the d4 square. Okay. So in this position, if white decides to move up here like this, well, I'm going back and I'm threatening the rook, and if the rook goes back to e1 square, I can go up here, and I think I am going to go up another pawn eventually, or maybe just draw the position. It's not really drawish because white is up the exchange for a pawn, so white is +1 in this position in terms of chess material. Guys, let's continue with what happened in the game. As mentioned, bishop to c2, so we went over the previous line, what happens if we take here on f5, but instead dropping back to the c2 square. Knight captures on d4 was played in the game, okay? And knight to d4 is a very threatening move, guys. Why? Because we are threatening a check and getting the royal fork, as they used to say, on the f3 square. So in the game, Michael missed this and played rook from 2 to e4, and I played the move knight to f3, and Michael resigned, guys. Okay, so obviously king has to make a move. Maybe not going to a check square, but let's say going to g2 and takes. Actually, you can also take with the queen here, and this and this all works out too. We throw a check here, and this is going to be termination somehow, mate, someday. So this was a very interesting game, guys. Knight f3 check, and that was the end of it, guys. I'd like to thank you guys for watching and participating. Please feel free to go back to the key moments in this game, the pause the video moments. If you guys didn't get the answers correct to the pause the video moments, that's fine. Please don't be discouraged. This was a very challenging game, especially for my advanced players or my intermediate players at ISV. US Virgin Islands Chess, guys. More videos to come in this playlist very shortly, as there was another tournament, number 2 today on the 4th of March, which was the day after this tournament was played. Again, for the second time, guys, thank you for participating. Much luck to your guys' chess and over the board. Thanks for meeting up today. Take care of yourselves, US Virgin Islands Chess, and best of luck with you and your chess online and over the board. And see everyone on the other side. Okay, guys.